The wind howled through the open rear hatch of the transport aircraft, slicing through layers of tactical gear and chilling even the most seasoned soldiers. Captain Celine Vega didn't flinch. She stood at the edge, her eyes locked on the drop zone below, just a vague outline of black forest spread across an unnamed valley. Her expression was unreadable, carved from the discipline of years spent navigating chaos. The others in her unit stole glances at her, some out of admiration, others uncertainty. She wasn't known for camaraderie. She was known for results. The red light above the hatch turned green. Without a word, Celine dove into the darkness. The air screamed past her as she fell, her body slicing to the void like a missile. The forest rushed up to meet her, but she didn't tense. At the last possible second, her chute snapped open, and she glided silently into the canopy. She landed hard, rolling into the underbrush. Her boots hit dirt, and she was moving before the parachute even settled, cutting the lines with a practiced flick of her knife. She activated her comms. Static. No response from command. No acknowledgement from the other 3 operatives who were supposed to land nearby. Either the signal was jammed, or she was alone. It wasn't supposed to be a solo mission. The briefing had been explicit. This was a coordinated, multi-agent infiltration behind enemy lines to extract high-level intelligence from a rebel outpost masquerading as a weather station. In and out, 72 hours. Clean. Simple. But simplicity had a way of unraveling in war zones. Celine crouched beneath a moss-covered boulder and retrieved a small, folded map from her thigh pocket. Outdated. Already she spotted inconsistencies. Landmarks were wrong. Trails erased by mudslides or grown over. Still, it was all she had. She moved swiftly, a ghost among trees, senses hyper-tuned. Her breath was shallow, deliberate, sinking with each footfall. She was 36 hours without sleep, but the tension carved clarity into her bones. She welcomed it. Numbness was a true enemy. 2 hours later, she found the first body, Sergeant Caleb Price. She recognized him instantly, even with his throat slit and eyes staring blankly into the canopy. His weapon was gone, gear stripped, his body was still warm. It wasn't an ambush, it was an execution. Celine crouched beside him, pressing her fingers briefly to his forehead, not out of sentiment but respect. Then she slid his sidearm into her belt and disappeared again into the brush. Night fell quickly, the kind of darkness that devoured sound. She waited until moonlight cast a silver path before moving again. Her objective was 20 clicks east, but something was wrong with the terrain. The enemy had moved faster than command predicted. There were signs of patrols, fresh tracks, boots too small to be government-issued. Civilians? Militias? She didn't have time to guess. A sudden flicker of light, tiny, cautious, caught her eye. She crept closer and spotted a makeshift camp tucked into a ravine. 4 figures. Laughing. Armed. Careless. She watched from a shadowed perch as one of them unzipped a duffel bag. Her blood chilled. Inside were fragments of U.S. tactical gear. Patches. Tags. Her unit. Her eyes locked on one item, a shoulder strap bearing the faded letters Vega. They thought she was dead. Celine didn't think. She moved. By the time they heard her, 2 were already down. A third reached for his rifle and crumpled with a clean shot through the skull. The last tried to run, but she was on him before he took 3 steps. Her blade slid under his ribs, and she lowered him silently to the ground. In the quiet aftermath, she retrieved her strap and packed what she could use. Rations, ammo, a battered comms unit. Still jammed. Still alone. The forest seemed to shift around her, as if reshaping itself with each decision she made. What started as reconnaissance was now a hunt. Her orders were broken. Her team was dead. And somewhere nearby, someone was wearing her name like a trophy. At dawn, she scaled a ridge and finally glimpsed the structure that marked her objective. A squat, concrete building, ugly in its functionality, half buried in the landscape. Antennas jutted from the roof like antennae on a dead insect. She knelt and watched through binoculars. No activity. No guards visible. It didn't feel right. Suddenly, a crackle. The comms unit sparked to life. A man's voice, warbled and low, Phantom Viper, still operational, rumors unconfirmed. Do not engage if visual confirmed. Repeat, do not engage. Celine blinked. Phantom Viper, her code name, assigned for this mission. She had never used it aloud. And yet the voice, the enemy voice, spoke like a warning. She exhaled slowly, the cold fogging in front of her. Something had shifted. They weren't just aware of her presence. They were afraid of it. Celine didn't smile, but something in her posture straightened. There was no backup coming. No team left. No orders that still made sense. Only the mission. Only her. She slipped back into the trees. The days blurred together. Celine moved like breath through the underbrush, silent, unseen, yet steadily consuming ground between herself and the target. Her body operated on muscle memory, instincts sharpened by a decade of operating on the knife's edge. Hunger gnawed at her slowly, like a polite intruder, but she ignored it. Focus was fuel enough. She avoided roads, clearings, and streams where her scent could linger. The enemy hunted her now, not in organized units, but in erratic patterns, like they were chasing a rumor. That suited her fine. Let them waste their energy on shadows. Late one afternoon, she crested a low hill and caught a flicker of movement below. Not soldiers, too slow, too unsure. She crouched behind a fallen log and peered through the scope of her stolen rifle. 3 figures, thin, exhausted, and ragged. Civilians. At least, they wore the shell of civility. Patched jackets, mismatched boots, expressions haunted by months of conflict. One limped, held up by the other 2. They stopped beside a burned-out vehicle and passed around a dented canteen. Celine could have passed them by. Civilians were dangerous in a war zone. Sometimes armed, often desperate, always unpredictable. But the injured one looked young, 16 at most, face smeared with soot, eyes swollen. The others, older. Siblings, maybe? She approached without warning, rifle low but ready. They didn't run. 2 tired, 2 resigned. The eldest, a woman with cracked lips and stare of steel, raised a hand, not in defense, but acknowledgement. "You're her," she said in accented English. "The ghost." Celine's breath caught, just briefly. "Where did you hear that?" "Everywhere," the woman replied. "Soldiers won't go into the eastern gorge. They say a phantom kills from the trees, that she moves faster than the wind." Celine didn't respond. "We're not enemy," the woman added. "We're what's left." Celine motioned for them to sit and tossed them a protein bar. They accepted it like currency. She crouched across from them, back to a tree, her rifle balanced across her knees. "I need intel," she said. "You're hunting the relay station?" the woman asked. "We passed it days ago. South Ridge. Guarded, but not tight. They don't expect another strike. They think they won." Celine tilted her head slightly. "Another strike?" The woman nodded. "A drone hit weeks back. Scared them, but only damaged the outbuildings. Communications hub still operates." She pressed a finger to dirt, drawing a crude map. Her lines were imprecise, but they offered something Celine's government-issued plans had not. Currency. Trust born not of loyalty, but of mutual survival. They move in patterns. Every 3rd day, they shift the guard. 1 hour before dusk. That was tomorrow. Celine nodded once, then looked at the teenager. His gaze was distant, vacant. Trauma saturated the air around him. "We can't go further," the woman said. "Not with him. He won't make it through the pass." Celine scanned the horizon. Her mind moved rapidly. Risk, reward, potential consequences. Then she reached into her pack, withdrew a flare, and handed it to the woman. "Wait until sunset tomorrow. Fire it west of the gorge. It'll draw them off. Give you a window to move." The woman took the flare like it was sacred. "You're not like they say," she said quietly. Celine looked at her. "I'm worse." She moved out before dawn. By midday, she had reached the perimeter of the relay station. It loomed out of the hills like a blunt wound, a slab of concrete with steel teeth. Barbed wire laced the upper edges, but age and fatigue had taken their toll. Vines curled along the sides, camouflaging cracks and corrosion. Two guards at the front gate, one on the roof, distracted by a cigarette. She circled for hours, charting paths, watching rotations. They were lax, complacent. That would cost them. When the sun began its descent, she slithered through the undergrowth toward the east wall. There, hidden by moss and a collapsed support beam, was a ventilation shaft. Small, tight, but just enough. She slipped inside, belly crawling through dust and rust, heart pacing with mechanical calm. Every breath was measured, every movement rehearsed in silence. She emerged inside a storeroom, empty save for a stack of ruined crates and an old mop stained with something dark. Voices echoed down the corridor. She waited until they passed. Then she moved, hallways, stairwells, past peeling maps and propaganda posters curling at the edges. The hub was 3 floors up, said a room, reinforced, but not invulnerable. She planted 2 charges, one at the main server bank, another near the emergency generator. She didn't intend to level the place. She just wanted to blind it, scramble their signals, cut them off from the wider grid. As she moved to leave, footsteps approached. Fast, urgent. She ducked into a darkened alcove. 2 soldiers passed by, speaking in hushed tones. "She's here," one said. "I heard it myself." Command intercepted a local transmission. Said she left a mark. What kind of mark? The first hesitated. A dog tag, pressed into a corpse's hand. Said Vega. The other laughed nervously. "That's not her real name, is it?" "Does it matter?" came the reply. "She's death in boots." The sound of their steps faded. Celine stared into the dark, hand resting on her sidearm. She hadn't left that tag. She hadn't left anything. Someone wanted the myth to grow. Someone was helping it. She slipped back out the way she came. The sun was setting when the charges blew. Not a massive blast, just enough to light the sky, send soldiers scrambling, smoke rising in chaotic curls. From the western ridge, another flare lit the air. Distraction complete. Celine didn't watch. She was already gone. By nightfall, the radio waves were silent. Communications cut. Panic would follow. And in the vacuum of noise, rumors would swell. They'd say she was a ghost. They'd whisper that she came from the trees, walked through fire, and vanished like breath in frost. They'd speak her code name with reverence and dread. Phantom Viper. She didn't know who gave it meaning. She only knew it wasn't hers anymore. It belonged to the war. The storm rolled in with the weight of a curse. Low clouds scudding across the sky, like bruises smeared across a face. Thunder crackled far off, and Celine Vega crouched beneath the skeleton of an abandoned watchtower, her eyes fixed on the road below. A convoy was coming, armored, slow, deliberate. Not supply trucks, not reinforcements. This was an inspection, which meant a commander, possibly the commander. She had been tracking whispers through shattered villages and dying radios, across mountains soaked in silence. The name Colonel Nikos Varn surfaced more than once, a brutal tactician, ex-special forces, now turned warlord under the flag of a puppet government. A ghost hunter, they called him. He'd made his reputation by turning legends into body bags. Now he was looking for her. Celine adjusted the scope of her rifle. Wind from the east, light scatter from the coming rain. Distance, 400 meters. One clean shot, and the head of the snake would fall. But her finger hovered uncertain. Inside the lead vehicle, behind reinforced glass, sat a figure with a calm face and unreadable eyes. Not Varn, someone else. A woman, slender, armored in understated elegance. She leaned forward, speaking into a headset. The convoy slowed. It was a trap. Celine didn't retreat. She melted backward into the trees, erasing her trace like she was never there. That night, she followed the convoy to its camp, a temporary outpost built in the ruins of an old school. Concrete halls riddled with bullet holes. Classrooms turned into barracks. Chalkboards still bearing fractured lessons in a language the war had made irrelevant. She scaled the perimeter silently and settled into a dark niche above a shattered skylight. From there, she watched. The woman with the headset was not ordinary. She moved with purpose, issued no orders aloud, yet everyone obeyed her. Celine studied her for hours, memorizing her rhythms, her patterns. At one point, the woman turned, as if sensing something beyond the veil of light. Their eyes met. Celine froze, but the woman didn't alert anyone. She merely stared into the dark, unblinking. Then she turned away, slowly, deliberately, as if to say, "I see you. Come when you're ready." Celine left before dawn. She couldn't explain the cold that took root in her chest as she moved. It wasn't fear. It was familiarity. The kind born not from knowing someone, but from having once been someone like them. The rain broke by midday. Celine found shelter in a ravine, miles from the outpost, and gathered her thoughts like shattered glass. She pieced together a map from memory and intuition. The relay station had been the first limb to sever. But it wasn't enough. The warlords had fallback networks, mobile command cells, encrypted drones. Disabling one node wouldn't cripple the machine. But if she could take the head, if she could confirm Varn's location, she closed her eyes, let the cold seep deeper into her. A sound stirred her, wings fluttering against canvas. A drone, too small to be hostile. A civilian recon model, modified. It hovered briefly, then dropped something, a small capsule. Celine rolled into cover, waited, listened. No detonation. She retrieved it. Inside, a microdrive, sealed and encrypted. She knew only one person who could have sent it. Kieran. He had once been her tech support on Black Ops missions, back when she answered to brass and not ghosts. After the fall of their last operation, he'd vanished, disavowed, presumed dead. But Kieran had always been too clever to die properly. His tools whispered in machines like shadows and circuits. If he was reaching out now, it meant something bigger than personal vendettas. Celine activated the drive in the safety of a forest cache bunker she had used years ago. The decrypted files projected in green glow holograms, blueprints, satellite sweeps, an audio clip, and a message. He's not running things anymore. She is. Codename Naira. Ex-intelligence, now mercenary spy master. She's consolidating power behind Varn's name. You kill him, she steps forward. You kill her, the structure collapses. Thought you should know what you're really hunting. Celine's breath slowed. The woman from the convoy. Naira. A new name. A new layer to the war. She replayed the message again, committing each word to memory. Kieran included coordinates. Deep in the no-man's land north of the Red River. A place no side claimed, because no side ever left it alive. But that's where Naira would be. That night, as she broke camp, a memory surfaced, unbidden and violent. A flash of another time. A raid gone wrong. A teammate bleeding out. Naira's name wasn't in the mission file, but the tactics matched. Deception over strength. Psychological disruption over brute force. Celine had lost people to those methods. Good people. Maybe this had always been personal. She traveled north across broken terrain, her route stitched from instincts, old codes, and half-memories. Along the way, she passed remnants of resistance. Men with hollow eyes guarding scrap metal gates, children drawing weapons in the dust. They didn't speak her name, but when she passed, they stood a little straighter, as if sensing the war might change direction. 3 days later, she reached the edge of the Red River. It wasn't red. Not anymore. Just black and sluggish, the water thick with runoff and secrets. On the far side, a ruined cathedral rose like a ghost in the earth. Spires shattered, glass hollow, yet still imposing. Her scope picked up faint movement near the bell tower. Guards. Snipers. But not many. Naira wanted her to come. Celine crossed after nightfall, her body moving like clockwork honed by silence. She breached the perimeter through a collapsed tunnel beneath the foundation. It led into the crypts, cool, damp, and echoing with absence. Up through the nave, past shattered pews and altars scorched by fire, she ascended the bell tower spiral. At the top, she found Naira, alone, unarmed, waiting. "You took longer than I expected," Naira said. Celine kept her rifle raised. "You expected me." "I invited you," Naira replied. "You've earned the truth." Celine stepped forward slowly, her finger brushing the trigger. The truth. Naira turned. Her face was calm, luminous in the flickering candlelight. Varn's dead. Has been for weeks. I kept his name alive to buy time. To consolidate the territories. You think this chaos runs on bullets? No, it runs on belief. And belief is fragile. You've killed thousands to build a lie. I've unified what your government fractured. I'm what's left when the empire burns. And you, Celine, you're its reckoning. Silence filled the space between them, the kind that came before something irreversible. Naira didn't reach for a weapon. Celine didn't lower hers. You could walk away, Naira said softly. Let the myth grow. Let them keep fearing the ghost. Celine's eyes didn't waver. And what would you do? Naira smiled faintly. Whatever needs to be done. The candle flickered. A heartbeat passed. Then Celine stepped back. She didn't pull the trigger. Not yet. The storm outside rumbled like judgment, and the war waited. The wind carried whispers through cathedral ruins as Celine descended the bell tower, her steps measured and her thoughts sharper than ever. Naira hadn't tried to stop her. That, more than any weapon, was proof of the woman's confidence, or perhaps her arrogance. Celine couldn't yet decide which. The night outside had grown colder, soaked in a fog that curled low around the stones like smoke searching for warmth. Celine reached the nave and paused. Her rifle hung at her side, her sidearm secured, but her muscles remained taut, listening. Something had shifted since she'd arrived, something beyond the brittle quiet of truce. The air carried tension, like it was bracing for an aftershock. In the crypt below, she retrieved the hidden transmitter Kieran had smuggled to her weeks ago, buried inside an old oil lamp casing. She activated it on a low-frequency burst, encrypting her message in spectral waves. Target alive. Primary eliminated previously. Power shift confirmed. Awaiting instruction. The reply didn't come immediately. It took hours, long, hollow hours spent perched in the ruined sanctuary's rafters, watching dawn bleed into the horizon like a wound healing too slow. Then the signal blinked. Exfil unnecessary. Secondary now priority. Sanction approved. Sanction. Not capture. Not detain. Kill. She stared at the device, its green light blinking like a pulse. Celine had operated under orders most of her life. Ghost units. Deep ops, burnable missions. But this felt different, because this time the order confirmed something she already suspected. Her government wanted Naira dead not for what she had done, but for what she represented. Control. Celine slipped out before first patrol. She crossed back over the Red River, leaving no prints, no noise, no presence. In the hills beyond, she found a cave she used long ago, a place where she could think away from surveillance, away from command. Inside, she unrolled a map and marked locations where Naira's influence had grown. Radio towers reprogrammed. Militia units folded under new banners. A pattern emerged. She wasn't just consolidating. She was stabilizing. Ruthlessly, efficiently. Not peace, exactly, but order. And yet, the war machine back home wanted her dead, because peace they didn't control was indistinguishable from rebellion. A shadow shifted outside the cave. Celine rolled, knife in hand. It was the boy, the injured teen from days ago, now healed, standing just at the threshold with eyes that had aged years in silence. "I followed you," he said, voice quiet. Celine stood slowly, cautious. "Why?" "She gave us food, after you left. Her soldiers, not like the others. They didn't take anything, just left supplies." "Naira?" The boy nodded. "She said you saved us." Celine felt something shift deep inside her, like a blade turning. "What do you want?" "To help you," he said, "like you helped us." Celine studied him. The clothes were new, not military, but clean. His face was still thin, but less haunted. Hope clung to him like fresh scars. "You don't even know what I'm doing," she said. "I don't care," he replied. "I want to be like you." "No," she said immediately. "You don't." His mouth tightened. "Then tell me why not." She opened it to reply, and found nothing came. No explanation that would undo what War had already planted in his heart. That night, she sent a second message to Kieran. Sanction confirmed. But I'm not executing yet. Something's wrong. I want context. The response was swift. They're forcing the issue. High command pushing narrative. You kill her, they install proxy. Start another cycle. You spare her, they erase you. Celine leaned back against the cave wall. She had seen this pattern before. It didn't matter who wore the uniform or carried the flag. The game was always the same. Control through division. Victory through chaos. Naira hadn't broken the cycle. She had merely twisted it. But maybe that was enough. Celine returned to the cathedral at dusk. The sentries didn't stop her. Naira met her in the garden. A dead place sprouting with new green. Shoots of life clawing out of ruin. It didn't fit either of them. I expected you last night, Naira said without turning. I needed time. You've had it. Celine approached until only a breath separated them. They sanctioned you. I know. You're not afraid. I'm prepared. Celine studied her. The composure, the confidence. It was real, but so was the weariness under her eyes, the kind you didn't get from war, but from trying to outlast it. What happens if I don't do it? Celine asked. They burn you, Naira said plainly, and they send someone else. You could run. I've run enough. I've made my choices. Now you make yours. They stood there, silent, in the heart of a graveyard dressed as a sanctuary. The war pulsed in the distance, dull, omnipresent. But in this moment, there was only breath and blood and the terrible weight of decisions. Celine raised her weapon. Naira didn't flinch. A long second passed. Then another. Then Celine lowered it. I don't take orders from dead men, she said. And I don't kill those building something in the rubble. Relief flickered across Naira's face, but only briefly. You understand this paints a target on both of us. I do. Naira extended a hand. Celine took it. The pact was wordless. They parted before dawn, each walking a different path, but toward the same horizon. In the hills, Celine met with the boy again and told him he could no longer follow. But I want to help. You already did, she said. You reminded me why I started. He looked confused but accepted it. She gave him a flare just like before. If you're ever in danger, use this. Someone will come. He took it with solemn pride. Celine disappeared again after that. The stories returned stronger than ever. A ghost who spared a warlord. A sniper who walked out of death's shadow and chose not to fire. Some said she'd gone rogue. Others said she was leading something new, something unseen. But the code name endured. Phantom Viper. Spoken not with fear, but with possibility.